Hello and welcome to this short tutorial where I'm going to show you how you can use a landing pad with your drone to make landing and takeoff easier in tricky situations. So let's get into it. So first up, let's just talk about the situations in where a landing pad becomes quite handy. Now, this situation here where I'm in a grassy field, a landing pad is very handy, especially on a smaller drone like a mini drone, because if I just put the drone down in the grass, the propellers are actually just going to hit the grass as it tries to take off, and this could potentially do damage to the drone. So what a landing mat does in this situation is it creates a nice flat level surface for me to put down on top of the grass, and then the drone can take off from there. Now, in other situations, if you've got a bit of sort of uneven ground or a few small rocks and things, this is another situation where a landing pad comes in really handy just to create a nice, smooth, level surface for you to take off and land from. So there are a couple of different styles of landing mats to choose from. There's sort of circular flip out ones, and then there's also the style that I have here, which is these sort of foldable square ones. Now you want a mat that is a fair size bigger than the drone you're going to be using, because if you've got a mat that's like the same size as your drone, it's going to make it harder for you to do accurate landings on it. So make sure you get a mat that's a fair size bigger than your drone, at least sort of 50% to twice as big as the footprint of your drone, and that's going to make landing much easier. Now also, some of these landing pads are going to have little eyes in the corners, so if it's a particularly windy day and you're actually on grass, you can just use some pegs to peg these mats in to stop them blowing away after you've taken off and you're coming back to land. So let me put the mat down on the ground and show you a little quick demonstration of how we use it. If you're enjoying this video so far, consider becoming a member on Patreon, as it's one of the best ways to support the work that I'm doing here. Now, I also have a complete drone videography course which will take you from where you are now all the way to an advanced drone pilot and cinematic genius. Now, it's already transforming people's flying and footage, and it will do exactly the same for you. Now, I've also started a weekly newsletter giving you the latest drone news, hot tips and discounts, and you can find all of this linked in the video description. Whilst you're down there, make sure to tap the subscribe button for more videos like this. Thank you for that, and let's get back into it. Okay, so we've got the landing mat on the ground now, and something else when it comes to grass as well. This grass is actually wet grass, so I don't really want to be putting my drone down into the wet grass. So what the landing mat has done is it's raised us up above the grass, created a nice level surface, and also taken us away from that moisture. Now you can also use a landing mat in situations where, say, if you've got an uneven rocky surface or something like that, what the mat just allows you to do is flatten out the surface beneath you and create a nice, stable taking off and landing platform. So now everything is set up, I'm going to grab the drone and pop it on the mat. And when I do that, you can see here, because I picked a mat that was big enough for the drone that I'm going to be using, we've got plenty of space to take off and land from, so we don't have to be worrying too much about having to land on this tiny little mat. We've got plenty of space, so we should be good to go. Now, what I can do now is just run through my normal takeoff procedure and we can get the drone up in the sky. Okay, so I've got my controller now, so all I'm going to do is I'm just going to push both sticks to the center to start the propellers. We can see here they're not making contact with anything because the landing mat is doing its job. Then I'm just going to push up on the left stick and the drone is going to take off absolutely perfectly because we've created a nice surface for it to do so. And the similar sort of thing comes in when it comes to landing. I'm just going to move the camera a second so you get a better view. So when it comes to landing, you just want to fly the drone back to the location of your landing pad. So I'm now just going to lower it down. I'm roughly in the right place. I'm then just going to double check and make sure that I'm directly above it like I am right here. And then all I'm going to do is just pull down on the left stick to initiate the landing. The drone is going to go into its landing sequence and then land on my mat. Now, because I had a big enough mat, I had a bit of room for error. I was slightly to the right there, but we had enough space and all was good. So that's the basics of how to go about using a landing pad, the situations in which you might need them. So if you do think a landing pad is going to be handy for you, do go out and pick yourself one up. And if you've already got one, you now know how to use it effectively. And if you don't, you now know the situations in which one could be handy. So thank you so much for watching. Go out, enjoy your drone, enjoy using your landing pad, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.